Hello everybody and welcome back to the Games Done Quick Hotfix. This is our Best of 2023 showcase where we are showcasing some of the best games of 2023. We have Lies of P here for you. I will hand it over to the runner commentary. Let them introduce themselves.
Hey everybody, my name is Spicy. I'm here to show off Lies of P. This is a Souls-like that came out earlier this year, and it ended up being really, really good. This is one of the best Souls-like, if not the best Souls-like that's ever been released, and my personal game of the year. The run is pretty crazy. I have on commentary to help me out, Blanks, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hey guys, I am Blanks. I'm also a runner of this game. Just summing up what Spicy said, this is probably the best Souls game to date. Sorry, but the best Souls-like to date. It's got a bunch of unique mechanics. There is like this weapon assembly mechanic where you can take apart a weapon and you can attach like some really silly blades to handles, and there's just like a lot of cool things you can do with this game. It's very, very unique and very, very fast-paced run too. So I think you guys will enjoy it.
Yeah. A lot of new mechanics that haven't been done in other games. And time will start in 3, 2, 1. So first little piece of tech, this is the only place this is used, but you walk slow in this section, but if you swing your arm, you move a tiny bit faster, just since you run out of the Legion Arm energy in the bottom left there. We will use that, I think only one other time in this run. This run is very, very bare bones, which we'll get to later. But we've cut out like almost everything in the routing of this run, so we don't really get much at all. Here, while the store's opening, I'm going to take off all of my defense items. That's because light load in this game is very, very strong. When you're light load in this game, you regenerate stamina, and you run much faster, but you also regen stamina very, very quickly.
But it'll be helpful.
Yeah. So our weapon of choice here is the rapier. And that is because the weapon of choice is going to be the rapier, and we need those starting stats in stamina and technique. We don't really care about the strength or the health or the capacity. We're just going for pure damage in this run. We're going to be very, very underleveled until pretty much the last area of the game. So we're going all in on quick attacks, and actually the unique thing about the rapier, the property that it has, is that it can parry bosses' moves, and that pauses their combo. So that's the best way we've found so far to make up for like the lack of setup time. Other categories use different weapons, but yeah, main reason for using the deck starting class is just to have a very, very quick weapon to poke really quick with.
Yeah, and you'll see that used on all the bosses to great effect. It's a very, very strong weapon for a starting weapon.
Here, using the left arm of steel to build up some poise damage, as well as do a bunch of base damage. We don't really use it outside of this tutorial area, but as you can see, the base damage is really nice because our rapier is not very strong. We're going to be using the weapon assembly tool later on to attach a different blade to it, because the blade itself is not very strong.
Work in this game is, as Blanks was saying, there's the weapon assembly system, which you can put different handles with different blades, and the blade, I think, affects the scaling, and the handle affects the move type. Is that correct? I know the handle is the move type.
The handle is actually both the scaling and the move type, but the blade itself, the weight of the blade, it determines the speed and the base damage of the weapon.
I see. You saw there while the gate was opening, I hit those guys a few times. That was to build up some Fable. If you see in the top left, there's just 3 blue bars. That's the Fable bar, which lets you build it up as you attack enemies and lets you do Fable attacks. And Fable attacks are very, very strong in this game. Incredibly strong. We'll be using them a bunch throughout the run.
Yeah. So here we're just running through the streets. We are coming up on the first merchant. We're going to be buying some consumables. We're going to be buying Fable catalysts, which are going to be filling up our bars. We're going to be buying throwing cells, which are throwables that deal damage, and a electric abrasive to just give us some more base damage on the first boss of the run. And we're also going to pick up the Puppet Saber and the Greatsword. Puppet Saber is going to be used for this boss right here, Parade Master, to make him more or less scripted. So yeah, we will see how that goes. The scimitar is very, very versatile in its moveset, so we're going to use that to apply our static abrasive, and it's going to be 6 R1s here. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the 6th one's going to stagger, and we buff 7, 8. We're looking for 10, and then we're looking for 1 more, and then a charge R2, which should knock him over. 1 more charge R2, take the fatal. And we should finish him off here with 3 charge punches. Very, very nice.
Yeah, that was good.
So one thing to note, the damage in this game is rolled, meaning that it's random. It's actually plus or minus 10% on every swing that you do. So what can happen there is on the 10th swing, you'll like over damage him and he will just go into second phase early. So it's, you know, nice to see it working here. The script into full effect.
Yeah, that can happen, and also if you underdamage a bit, then at the end after the arms, you can have a bit of HP left. If you get super unlucky, then you have to hit him quite a few times. But it doesn't.
And that will be the last time we use Legion Arm, I believe, for the entire run.
I think it is, yeah.
And there we just did our first lie. The game is telling us basically that we are a unique puppet, and we can choose to lie. So we just lied to the hotel security system. We told them that we were human.
I heard you should take.
Not really use much on the run, but here we're also grabbing the puppet string. Not that it's ever going to be used on the run, but if we try to skip it, she will actually pull us back and insist that we take it.
Yeah. So the reason that the lie system is not really used too much in this run, if you notice, the estimate I think is 50 minutes. I think I put for this run, and this game casually is like 25 hours, 30 hours. It's a pretty lengthy game. That's because we just skipped the whole game basically, which is why we don't really get to interact with the lie system at all.
You know, a great thing about any percent is that it's very spoiler free, in that you don't see much of the game at all. So you really don't get much spoiled for you by watching speedruns, which is really funny.
Yeah, I've said that to people before. People that when the game came out and they were coming in saying they hadn't played yet, I'd be like, well, you're not really not gonna see too much. So.
Boulevard was a regular rich people row.
There's a lot of these kind of running sections in this game like this, where you're just running from point A to point B, especially later during the skips.
That was long ago.
And we won't see too much combat until the second half of the run.
Yeah, so I mean, right here we are we've been collecting these throwing cells. The point is to collect it, like 5 of them, for the next boss, because you know we don't have any money on this run. That's the problem. Money is really tight, and we can't afford, you know, the electric coil stick, which is our preferred weapon of choice in the next boss. But instead, we're going to be just collecting these throwables and using that instead. You'll see more of throwables later. They pretty much make up the lack of damage, and you'll see later what we mean. We're going to be very, very underpowered, and throwables are actually like one of the more... It actually is like a large portion of our damage on the later fights. It's pretty funny.
Throwables are quite broken, along with the status effects that they apply. They're very, very strong.
All right, so here we're going to be introducing a mechanic called a pogo. And so the point of calling it a pogo is because, as you saw there, we're doing a charge attack on sloped collision. And what that allows us to do is to get a small little vertical boost to roll over that scaffolding. And we're going to save about 15 to 20 seconds on the way to Donkey here, which is really nice, obviously. And we'll be seeing a lot more of those later. That was probably the least extreme example of a pogo. But yeah, second boss of the game coming up here, the Mad Donkey. We've collected our 5 throwing cells, and we are going to start up the fight by doing a backstab really quick. And then we're just going to be running away, using a couple of throwables, kiting him out, waiting for that backstab timer to reset. He should be about backstabbable again now.
Are you a dream or a nightmare?
I don't feel like so. Very unfortunate.
Yeah. So
Messed up the parry timing on the last one.
that is what an NPC boss looks like.
Yeah, they're actually the hardest bosses in the entire game.
Yeah, like, yeah, that is like just the most classic example of, you know, the stalker fights. They get memed about a lot in these runs. They kind of have their own. Their AI is just really annoying because they kind of choose what they want to do. And as you saw there, he gave a really annoying pattern.
They can either give very bad patterns or very free patterns, depending. He actually gave me one free attack, but I did mess up the backstab, so that's on me. I do have some safety saves set up for this run because it's like every time you die in this run, it's a very, very far run back, or you won't have the resources to do the fight anymore. So I'll load up one of the safety saves here.
Yeah, and I mean, more than likely what's going to happen this time is it's just going to go, you know, way better because that's how stalker fights are. They're kind of just coin flips.
My weapon binds got messed up somehow with the save though. Oh, he's lost.
Oh, he's hiding behind the carriage. A little bit shy. Yeah, so here we use the throwables, and what that does is it kind of stalls out the backstab timer. And by the time that we're done using throwables, he's backstabbable again. Then we're going to finish out the fight by doing a couple of R1s.
So yeah, that's the good pattern where he just does the slow attack over and over.
There you go. And that is stalker boss fights in a nutshell. So here we're going back to the hotel. We are grabbing the weapon assembly tool, and you could technically skip this boss. However, we need the assembly tool. We need to make 2 weapons. We need to make the rapier handle with the greatsword blade and the greatsword handle with the rapier blade. And coming up here is actually like the biggest skip in the entire run. Skips like the most amount of content. We are going to skip from chapter 2, the end of Mad Donkey, all the way to chapter 6. So we're going to be skipping like 4 or 5 required bosses here with this skip, I believe. And we're going to be introducing the second movement mechanic called the zip. Basically what a zip is instead of being a vertical boost, these boosts are horizontal. As you saw, we were able to fly over that bench and land on this collision that otherwise wouldn't be landable. And then here we're going to be doing another zip to, launch diagonally onto this railing. And then we're doing another pogo here. And it's actually worth noting that during the run, we're going to be swapping FPS a lot. Basically, all you need to know is 30 FPS equals horizontal movement and 120 FPS equals vertical movement. So, and that is that we're going to be seeing that a lot. We're going to be doing a lot of skipping. The run's going to go by very, very quickly. Here we're entering chapter 6. So we just got done with Mad Donkey, and we are now in chapter 6, which is probably in your guys' casual playthroughs like 10 hours or like 12 hours of content that we just skipped.
Quite a massive skip. That skip was actually like I think that was the newest skip that was found, the newest big skip that was found. It was somewhat recent, and it actually required us to kind of like sort of reroute almost the entire category. It took a while to actually implement the runs.
Yeah, basically doing that skip meant that we lost like all of our resources for the run because we lost like a bunch of money. We lost access to the merchant that we normally would go to, which has been routed back in, of course. But yeah, it definitely took us a while to get our bearings again after that skip was found by Giant Cookie Jar, the world famous for this game. He's found pretty much every skip, as you saw right there.
He's crazy at finding skips. Like that skip was called for a little bit. Cookie ruined my life skip. Everyone was in shambles for a few days and it was found. This is another massive skip. If you want to go over what all this skips blanks, it's quite a bit.
Yeah, so as you saw, we entered Rose Isabel after Mad Donkey, and now here we're going from Rose Isabel Street all the way to inside the Grand Exhibition, which on your casual playthroughs is another probably 5 to 10 hours of gameplay. We did a zip to get out of bounds on 30 FPS to get that, that horizontal boost. And then we did another zip to land on this out of bounds area here. For some reason, the out of bounds in this game is like so fleshed out, and there's just so much to walk on that like these skips were found like it felt like every day there was like a new out of bounds skip that was found, and we were just like thinking to ourselves like, how is all of this like? How can we walk on all of this? It's insane.
Yeah, most games out of bounds stuff like this. A recent example, another game that I ran, RE4. That game, if you go out of bounds, you just fall instantly. There's nowhere to walk. It makes skips super difficult to find. As opposed to this game where there's just they generated a whole terrain out of bounds for some reason. There's so much to walk on everywhere.
Yeah, so here we're going to be doing a quit out here. The behavior of quitting out in a boss arena is to put you back in front of the door. And so here what Spicy was doing was putting himself under the arena. That would technically set his coordinates to inside the arena, which will now put him outside of it. And this is the end of the Grand Exhibition. We went all the way from the start of Rosa Isabel to the end of Grand Exhibition, which is, I think, 2 full chapters that we just skipped.
Yep, and then we have another skip right after. Yeah, we have this box here for weapon upgrade resources, which we will buy later. And then there's a boss here, but we have another skip for the boss also.
Yeah, so this is called a Victor skip. We are going to be jumping on this railing, doing a setup with our UI. Our health bar, fable bar, and stamina come very in handy for these skips. We're going to be doing a pogo here. And it's going to send us flying over the boss arena, and we're going to be just running right past him.
Unfortunate. A little bit short.
Collision there is a little bit wonky. As you see, there's like that beam there, and you got to just get over that beam. This is the reason why it's worth introducing this. This is the reason why 120 FPS is so important for this run, is because I don't think this is possible in 75 FPS. I don't think you go high enough, and frame rate actually makes your boost go higher. So that is why for leaderboard speedruns, 120 is the maximum FPS possible. Anything more than that, it gets, kind of pay to win. So we found that this is like the best number that is attainable on most computers. And luckily this game is like very well optimized, so it's not too bad.
Game is incredibly well optimized, yeah. So all the setups for this in this game for almost every skip they're all very, very precise. Like if you're a few pixels off, basically what we're looking at, like you said, was the HUD elements as well as like the foot positioning of the character, but especially on some of the skips later, you can actually be like 1 pixel off and it will not work. It's pretty unforgiving. Some of them though, like this one right here, are a little more forgiving.
This one's way more forgiving. Here we're skipping more content. You guessed it. We are skipping the Barren Swamp now. As we said before, you're not going to be seeing much of the game, and this is why. We are going out of bounds yet again. This skip saves... actually, this skip saves a lot more. It did save like 3 minutes back when it was first discovered, but now it saves probably like 10 to 12 minutes. So here we're going to be running over this mountain of puppets. Again, for some reason, this game has super fleshed out of bounds areas.
Yeah,
it allows us to walk
out of bounds
all along it.
It's just crazy.
Yeah. And we're going to be running all the way from the Barren Swamp, the start of the Barren Swamp, all the way till the end of the next chapter. So we're skipping 2 more chapters right now, essentially. So again, probably about another like 5 to 10 hours of gameplay, depending on how fast you did it in your first playthrough. So here we're going to be entering, it's called Broken Crot. So it's kind of like the exact same crot that we were in the first chapter with Parade Master and Donkey, except it's like a whole new map. So it has different collision, meaning that there's actually like a skip that exists there now that did not exist before that we're going to be going and doing. But yeah, here we are underneath the streets of Krot. We're going to be trying to get back inbounds and perform a skip called Carriage Skip, which might take some time to explain, but I hope
Might take
that
some
we
time
can.
to do, so have plenty of time.
True. So the idea of the skip coming up right here, we're going to be doing another pogo to get back in bounds. So while Spicy sets that up, I guess I'll give a little bit of background. So carriage, aka attacked hotel skip, is what allows us to trigger the sequence of the Hotel Krot being attacked by the alchemists. And normally we can only trigger this by killing the boss Walker of Illusion and then taking an elevator all the way down. And once you hit the bottom, the elevator breaks and then we're kind of trapped there. So you'll see us doing a little bit of sequence breaking when we get there. We're going to be triggering the elevator from the bottom, and then we're going to be going to the Stargazer, and technically we're trapped at that point. We can't use the Stargazer to teleport away. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves on a railing, and we are going to launch ourselves all the way to the area where the top of the elevator is, and we're going to trigger the elevator from the top. So here we can see us triggering it from the bottom. Once you hear like the boxes breaking, that's how you know we triggered the elevator from the bottom. And now we're trapped. Now, if we try to use the Stargazer to teleport us anywhere, we just can't go anywhere. The only thing we can do is use the pocket watch to go back to the hotel. So here we're going to be launching ourselves onto this railing real quick. And the goal of this skip is to launch ourselves all the way to over the buildings and into this tiny little window that's going to allow us to trigger the elevator from the top. And what that does for us is it allows us to skip two of the major bosses, like I mentioned before, Walker of Illusion and Parade Master, but this time he's corrupted. It's the Parade Master taken over by the petrification disease. So this is one of those skips that, like we were mentioning before, very, very precise setup. You can quite literally be off by a pixel and it just won't work. This is probably the hardest skip to learn, and it discourages like people from from doing this run, and I don't blame them. This is a very, very precise skip.
It's a pretty major reset point for any person runs. Honestly, everything up to this point is like pretty chill when you're grinding runs out, but this is kind of a huge reset point because every time you fail this is 15 to 20 seconds. It's pretty rough and is very, very precise. There we go.
Oh no.
Very nice.
Hey, so there's something horrible in front of the hotel.
Yeah, so we land in this tiny little window, and us going in this corner here is going to trigger the elevator from the top. And so now that we've triggered it from both the bottom and the top, we're going to go back to the Stargazer, and for some reason, we're going to go back to the bottom of the elevator, and the lever to make it come down is going to be pullable. And that is going to be what triggers the attacked hotel sequence, because you can't do that unless you first kill Walker of Illusion. But because we've triggered the elevator from both the bottom and the top, I think the game thinks that we've killed Walker of Illusion. So before the lever gets pulled, we're going to go back to the hotel, because otherwise our pocket watch is going to break and we'll actually be trapped down here, which is not good. So yeah, we're going to go back to the hotel, and I mean, everything's fine. Doesn't look attacked to us. However, we're going to be teleporting to Rosa Isabel Street. And there's a reason why we grabbed that Stargazer before, if you guys remember. That is because if we enter the hotel from the back entrance, it will actually trigger the attacked hotel event, which is... It blows my mind the way that all works. I don't know how that all works in the way that it does, but it just works.
Yeah, it's a very weird sequence of teleporting around. It looks very odd, but it gets us to skip the Corrupted Parade Master fight, which is very important because right now we are super, super weak. We have no weapon upgrades. We have no levels. We have no throwables. We are very, very weak at the moment.
Yeah. So here, a couple of chairs are knocked over. There's some wine on the floor. The hotel's attacked. Okay, there's no doubt about that. We have been attacked. So basically, at this point in the game, you should have your +10 weapon. You should have like, I don't know, 30 or 40 of your damage stat. You know, like a bunch of health, a bunch of stamina. And here we are walking in on base levels with no money. And this is any percent. This is what the run is. So here we're gonna be buying we're gonna be selling our quartz and our Parade Master Soul. And we're gonna be buying some upgrade materials and Fable catalysts. And we're actually gonna take a quick pit stop before we go and start doing combat. We're gonna be going down into the Relic of Trismegistus, which is the next major area, and thankfully there is a skip coming up for the next boss, because I don't know how I feel about doing this boss on base levels. That would not be very good.
I don't know if it would even be possible. I haven't even run the other categories where you have to fight those bosses because they just look awful for speedrun purposes.
Yeah. So if you guys saw how the Mad Donkey boss fight went, this boss fight would be like 10 times worse, trust me.
It's basically just, what is it, 3 of them?
Yeah, three of them, then once you... Yep. And then another one comes out.
Yeah.
Okay, so... this skip coming up, this is called the Black Bear Brotherhood skip. So basically here we're going to be lining up another UI element and doing a pogo, rolling out of bounds onto this platform, and because the level is vertically designed, we can just roll all the way to the bottom and just skip the whole area in 20 seconds. Very cool.
Yeah, that's another decently big area with a boss at the end. You just go to the end in 10 seconds. It's great.
Yeah, that's like its own chapter, I believe. And here we are. Here we are, guys, Alchemist style, and you know, under half an hour.
Yeah, this is pretty end game at this point. And we still have no weapon upgrades, nothing.
In a glitchless run, for perspective, in a glitchless run, you arrive at Alchemist Isle probably about an hour and 30 minutes RTA, I want to say. So we have pretty much saved an hour over a glitchless run. But like Spice said, we still don't have money. We still don't have weapon upgrades. But thankfully, this beach here, once you arrive, there are these blue ghosts, okay? And the purpose of the blue ghosts is to feed you exposition. Because your character is a silent protagonist, you don't really get a chance to learn the story. So we're going to be collecting this lore here, but we don't care about the story. We actually want money. Money is cool. And we're going to be getting lots of money from these blue ghosts. And you saw there, that's 3,000, another 3,000. So we have pretty much doubled our economy just off of those 2 blue ghosts. And here we're going to be grabbing some Crescent Moonstones for our weapon. Our max upgrade level for this run is +5 instead of +10. But with the cranking system, you can actually increase the scaling on a weapon, and we're going to be cranking our weapon for technique, and then pretty much all-inning all of our points into technique. So, you know, you're still underpowered, but it's a lot more bearable with the amount of upgrade materials that you do get on this run. It doesn't feel too bad. And as you see, we're going to take another trip once we hit the Stargazer. We're going to take another trip back to the merchant that we actually haven't seen yet. Otherwise, we'd have no consumables, no throwables for this part of the game. And we've calculated it, and it's actually, if not faster, it's even and way more bearable to go back and grab consumables than it would be to just keep going.
Yeah, so that's what we were talking about earlier with the newest skip that was found. We had to do the reroute. The skip cut out the original merchant trip that we had. And we were trying to like do the bosses without any consumables, and we just deemed it not worth it for time's sake and for mental health sake.
It's good when you came in. You must. Oh, I know.
Yeah, I think I was watching Spicy and Mitch try to fight the endgame bosses with like electric electricity abrasive, which like they're both resistant to, and it just did not look very good.
Yeah, it was very, very bad. And then on top of the fact that if you see my HP bar right now, late game bosses are going to kill me in one hit. So you basically had to make no mistakes at all for like 5 minutes straight.
Yeah. So pretty much this is us doing a short trip to collect money. We're going to collect a quartz down here for more money. And we're going to be dumping pretty much all of that we can afford into sets of throwables, because that is going to carry us. We're so underpowered right now that we need those to carry us right now. We have there's actually like a whole mechanic of the game we're not even using. It's called the P organ, and that's what those quartz things are used for. The P organ allows us to upgrade like our Fable attacks, allows us to carry more throwables, allows us to, do more damage on like a fatal attack, like one of like the riposts. But we're not even using that mechanic because the boss that unlocks that feature, we just skip past. So we can go ahead and just sell all those. We're also missing, worth noting, we're also missing a Fable bar, which is like actually like pretty devastating.
It's pretty awful,
Yeah.
Not for the reason you would actually think it would be, not because we need the Fable attacks. Right. Pretty much all of our skip lineups before this route where we lost the Fable bar were using the 4th Fable bar. So after we had to reroute and lose the Fable bar, we kind of had to redo all of our skip lineups, and they're personally I think they're all like just a little bit worse now.
Yeah.
Let's keep this.
So here we give the merchant a bribe because the boss, if we don't kill the boss, he doesn't sell to us. So we give him a little bit of a bribe, a little bit of an incentive. And it's funny because that boss is required. Like, it's not like that boss is optional or anything. It's just funny that we're going back to an area that has a required boss, and we're just skipping past it. So here we're gonna be using the rest of our points the rest of our ergo to put points into our technique. And this is, as you see, we're getting 50 damage. So that's quite an impactful number, right? Back from base stats plus 50 damage is quite impactful. That is why we technique crank our weapon, because we really need the damage here.
Yeah, the way the damage scaling works in this game, it's much more important to have levels than it is to have weapon levels. That's why we're able to make it by on only +5 as long as we pump our technique up, because the scaling for actually upgrading your weapon it's not very much.
Yeah, it's about like 11 on the Great Sword of Fate. It's about 11 per level, so we just got like 5 weapon levels worth of damage by pumping our technique there. Here we're going to be grabbing some more throwables. We're going to be grabbing a shot put, and there's an acid abrasive to our left here. They're not necessary, but they do save a little bit of money and make things a little bit more comfy. But here we're going to be fighting Door Guardian. If you guys are familiar with Dark Souls or Demon Souls, this is your Tower Knight, your Iron Golem. Basically, the gimmick to this fight is to hit him in the foot. As you can see, we're doing very pathetic damage, but every build does pathetic damage to his leg here. We're going to be knocking him over using an abrasive, and you'll see why our damage was so low in a second. So we're going to be doing the riposte, and wow, that's a lot of damage, and he's on fire. So yeah, using an abrasive before the knockdown is very important, because not only does it add more damage to your riposte, but it also applies the status effect to him. Burn damage is very strong versus him because he's a carcass, the zombie enemy type. Here we're going to be doing a couple more attacks, knocking him over again, using yet another fire abrasive here. And the fight should be over now.
A little bit short, that's okay.
Yeah. So there we used to actually use the P organ for fatal attack damage on that boss, but we realized that fire damage is so good anyway that you don't even need the fatal attack damage buff. It used to be like a 3-cycle kill, but with fire you can make it a pretty easy 2-cycle. But yeah, here the run's gonna go by pretty quickly. We're gonna be skipping our way through the Arch Abbey. To our left, or sorry, to our right is going to be a required Alchemist badge proc, but we're just skipping past that by doing a pogo up the staircase. And here we're gonna be running through Arch Abbey here. No need to switch back to controller. We're just gonna keep playing on keyboard and mouse because the next part up ahead, we're gonna be doing some more skips, and keyboard and mouse is the preferred input method of most runners for doing these skips, just for the added level of precision.
These guys can be some real funny guys sometimes. I think we're okay this time. Sometimes you'll have to quit out at the bottom.
They're a little
here
bit.
to reset them.
They're a little bit shy tonight.
Yeah. Sometimes they just run at you. Scary. I lost a few runs there. I'm gonna grab this for a little bit of safety. There's a few skips coming up.
This skip actually loses you like minutes if you miss it, so that's a good choice. Also, our pocket watch is broken, so we can't even use that if we need to. Here we're going to be doing, this is what is called a zip pogo. It's the first use of it in the run, where we're going to be using the momentum from a zip with the height of a pogo. And as you can see, it creates for some pretty silly launches, like that one right there. And there's going to be one more coming up here. This is called cat skip. This is the most extreme example of a pogo in the entire game. We're going to be going flying, chat. Are you guys ready to go to space? We yeah, Spicy making that one look easy.
Pretty precise, but those we have pretty good setups for with the free fable thing you were talking about earlier. Those aren't too bad. Here I'm gonna set up my hotbar for the upcoming bosses. Make sure everything equipped. Then we have the impossible skip.
Yeah, this is probably the most precise skip in the entire run. At least for me. Like, it took me hours to do the skip a handful of times. Like now it's not too bad, but yeah, this skip is very, very precise. And like we were mentioning before, you could literally be like a pixel off and it won't work. It's just that unforgiving. But we're gonna start out by rolling on this little wooden plank here. Swap over to 30 FPS because the goal is to get boosted up on this other plank to our left here. And we're going to swap back to 120 to set up the skip. This one is called Elevator Rift Skip. We're going to be skipping past this the puppet prison, which is about like a minute and 30 seconds, I want to say. So Spicy just taking his time to get that set up perfect. It's very, very hard to set up skips in this game because you have to tap your keyboard so lightly. And here we're swapping back to 30. And we hit it first try. Very, very nice. Yeah, so like I was saying before, these skips, especially that one, the foot positioning is so precise and it's like really annoying to get it right because you can tap your keyboard like a little bit too much and you go too far left. A little bit too much, you go too far right. And like a skip like that, honestly, the speed that Spice set it up in, that was pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's really, you really have to like feather your keyboard presses to move like very, very small amounts. It's pretty difficult. But that's also why we went back to 120 to set the skip up, because on 30 FPS the game doesn't really accept the inputs as smoothly as 120. It would be impossible to set that up on 30. You can't really move in like pixel increments on 30 FPS.
Yeah. So, we have made it to the next, what do you call it? Ergo boss, I guess. The next unique boss, I guess, since Parade Master, which is crazy to think about. We fought Donkey and Door Guardian, I believe, and now we're on our second major boss, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close to the end of the game here. I'm also a bit scared for this boss. I do, like I said, I have a safety save for this. I'm gonna do a bit of a safety strat too. We wouldn't do normal runs. Normally we wouldn't level HP here at all, but I am gonna stop at the Stargazer and level some HP a bit, just for marathon safety.
Yeah. So obviously at any percent runs, you would just skip the Stargazer. But for the sake of the marathon, we're just going to be grabbing some extra levels and health so we don't get absolutely obliterated. And here we are entering Lexasia. Probably, Lexasia is the any percent boss. Like, this is what you put your hours in when you run this category. So we're going to see here how Spicy performs. Here we're going to be using our Rapier handle for the guard parries. And as we mentioned before, the reason why we're not using the Rapier blade is because we actually want the strength of the Greatsword blade. And as you can see, the damage output is there. So we're going to be popping some Fable in between parries. As you can see, your Spicy making it a little easy. Guard parry after guard parry. We're using our second abrasive. Getting a little bit of unlucky RNG here. But that's okay. We're getting pretty close to a stagger here. Also, the acid abrasive is doing tons and tons of damage. There's the white bar. Next charge attack should stagger her into the, a couple more follow-up swings into the fatal. And we should be coming up on the end of phase 1 here, hopefully, in a minute. As abrasive ran out, it's going to be a little bit longer now. But that's all right. Very nice. So we're going to start out phase 2 with 2 carcass fluid bottles and a weapon buff in a second into 3 more carcass fluid bottles. And we're going to be blocking this lightning and sending it right back at her. Deflecting the red attack, very nice. Doing some R1s. Sending her backwards. Throwing a shot put, triggering the stagger. Using a few more throwables. Gonna go back in for the fatal. And hopefully finish out the fight here. She's gonna have a little bit of time to move, but shouldn't be anything too severe. Nice dodge there. Some really nice deflects. Wow, Lexasia really giving us... Yeah, Lexasia giving us the worst possible RNG, it looks like.
There's like 3 attacks she can do where you can kill her for free, but she did not do the free attacks. Unfortunate. I will have to load up a safety save because we used all of our consumables and the fight isn't really possible without the consumables.
Yeah, we could spend like 5 minutes on each phase, but I think loading a save here is justified because it's an uphill battle, to say the least.
It's rough. It was almost a really good fight. First phase was very good.
That was really good actually. That was looking really nice. But for some reason the phase 2 damage looks so low.
Yeah, I think I low rolled on phase 2 there, but she had so much HP. And that's how any percent goes.
Yep.
Very, very underleveled, very underpowered. Just kind of have to pray for high damage rolls and good RNG at the end there.
That's all right. Heading back into the fight. As if nothing ever happened. There actually, I didn't mention, that's the weapon destruction mechanic. So our acid abrasive actually has a little bit of a corrosive element to it. It's going to break Lexasia's shield. And what it's going to allow us to do is to actually poke her without, without having the penalty of like bouncing off her shield or anything. It's phase 1 going pretty smoothly. A little bit of a scary attack there, but
should light this up. Okay, just good.
They should have been close to a stagger. White bar indicates that the stagger is ready. A couple more follow-up swings into a fatal attack. Now we are out of abrasive, but that's fine. It can take a little bit longer, but gonna do one more guard parry. It's definitely the right option. All right, back into phase 2. Again, the double carcass fluid, and then a weapon buff into 3 more. And so you're going to see here the damage that we deal is going to be like actually like different than last time, because like we mentioned before, the damage is randomized. So here we're going to be getting here just under about half HP with this stable attack combo. Do a couple more swings and do a shot put, trigger the stagger. Couple throwables, and this damage is looking a little bit better. Not great, but looking a little bit better. 3 more.
This is the free
Yeah, and so this is the free RNG. Yeah, exactly. We get 2 more lightnings to deflect. He lands, charge R2, fight's over.
much easier than what she did last time.
Yeah, last time I don't know what that was. That
She
was
just
that was
kind of
crazy.
went crazy and spammed attacks. But we got through it. It's another pretty big reset point for runs. Based on the RNG you
Yeah.
get.
Carriage skip and Luxasia are like the 2 biggest reset points. So yeah, here we are coming up pretty quickly on the end of the run here. We have about, I want to say about like 5 more minutes, because we're going to be doing like some skips to get to the final boss.
She's gone, pal.
But so far, I mean, this run's been pretty good. Like, I feel like we've showcased the skips and the boss fights pretty well. I think this has been like a nice run so far.
Yeah.
Really comfy.
Hasn't been too bad. Little donkey death, little Luxasia death, but not terrible.
No, not at all.
I'm gonna grab this for safety because of the box skip guy coming up here. It's a boss in himself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny actually how like the the normal enemies at this point have just as much health as like some of the early game bosses. All right, so here we're going to be doing a pogo here. We're going to be lining up our feet on the ground as well as our UI. Turning our camera around, and what that's going to allow us to do is to have a better angle at the platform we're trying to land on. And it's actually funny because we're allowed to run in midair if we cancel our pogo or elevation with a block. It's called a block cancel. So yeah, basically hitting that skip, running past these rafters, which are pretty scary. Here we are approaching the fox skip guardian. This guy is the guy we were talking about. As you can see, he pretty much has the health of like an early game boss. Alright, so box skip. This skip, it doesn't technically even save any time, but the reason why we have to do it is because the red fox is blocking our path and telling us that basically we we didn't help her out because her brother, the black cat, is going blind, and we need to give them gold coins. But because we do so much skipping and because we don't have access to the tree until way later in the game, the fox is really angry at us. So we would have to fight an extra boss if we don't do the skip. But it technically doesn't even really save any time. I think it might save a couple of seconds, but for the reasons I just stated, we have to do it in order to avoid a required boss encounter.
Also, another very precise skip. Thankfully, when it fails, we can
Yeah.
get out so we don't just fall to our death, but very, very precise. This is up there for one of the hardest in the game as well.
Yeah,
as for just how
personally
kind of
for me, it's my
inconsistent
hardest
it is.
skip.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. This one also is another one that got much worse when we lost our 4th Fable bar.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Now we have to use the left side of our UI instead of the Fable bar. It's awful for me. But yeah, we're gonna be boosting past the fox encounter, and actually what that's gonna have happen is this music during the upper arch abbey is never gonna stop playing actually, which is kind of funny. Like even when we go into the next boss, it's still gonna be playing the same music. It's like kind of funny.
I never noticed that. Makes sense though. Never knew why that was.
Yeah, so here we're going to be doing our final level up here at the Stargazer. We're going to be doing a little bit of HP and then pure technique because we actually still get a lot of damage per level. I think we go to like 30 or 35. I don't know how much we can get. Yeah, about 35. Yeah. So here's another skip coming up. This saves about, I want to say like 15 seconds. We're doing a pogo onto this platform right here that's normally inaccessible from the bottom. Rolling over the top, grabbing a star fragment just on our route. So convenient that it's right there. And we're gonna be lining up a zip here. And what the zip's gonna do, it's not gonna send us in the void. That's not what we want.
I've never had that
happen.
before. Where I zip but don't go up.
Yeah. So there is, I believe that's a zip pogo because you're getting the vertical elevation as well. But the idea there is to launch yourself diagonally onto that platform, and we're gonna skip the running section from the stargazer. That's the little point of this. And also, like I mentioned, there's a star fragment there. I don't actually know where another one would even be to grab because we skip so much. It's so convenient. Actually, the only time we use a summon in the whole game is on the next boss coming up. But yeah.
That was supposed to be quick. Not sure why I didn't get the height the first time there.
Here we're going to be doing the last skip of the game, the last pogo. We're going to be pogoing up underneath the boss arena of the next boss. And what that's going to do is it's going to set our coordinates in the boss arena technically, which is going to send us to the outside where the fog gate would be. And you would think that it's faster to just run into the arena and fight the boss, but because we're so underpowered, what we have to do here is trigger the cutscene and quit out, and then actually summon help for the boss, because that's, you know, it's technically like probably like 30 seconds faster over just going in without one.
Yeah, the summons in this game are not like FromSoft summons. They are very, very powerful in this game. They have so much HP and they do pretty ridiculous damage. They use like the boss's weapons, which I guess is why they do so much damage, but
yeah, you really notice it on this boss because this boss has a very powerful weapon. As you can see, he's holding the club that you would get as a boss weapon reward. But yeah, similar to Luxasia, we are going to be using the rapier. We're not going to be using the guard parry very much. There are a few attacks that you can use it on, but on this patch of the game specifically, it's fixed in later versions, but on this patch, you actually can't really use the guard parry on a lot of bosses because his hitbox is so like concave. If you try to guard parry him, you'll stagger him backwards, and then you'll just whiff the follow-up with the rapier. It's really strange why it works like that. But here we're going to be just dodging around and poking him with the rapier, which is...
going to die in phase 1 here. That's really bad.
Yeah, that's not good.
He got trapped in the corner with the stuff. Or I'll die in phase 1. Honestly, maybe better that I die in phase 1 instead of the Spectre.
Maybe for the best.
Because I really need Spectre and start at phase 2. That was... If you saw, right before I died, he did like the frost circle on the ground. If he does that against a wall and your Spectre is up against the wall, he'll just kind of stand in it and get melted.
Yep. So if that happens on a PB attempt, I'm pretty sure your run just ends because you lose so much time in phase 2 to just not having a summon. The summon provides like a lot of poise damage and just like tanks aggro, so you can keep hitting the boss. But sometimes they just stand in, you know, a circle of frostbite, which is definitely not.
You can
optimal.
still make it through phase 2 without the summon, but yeah, it's very, very dangerous and very, very, very slow.
Yeah. Now, if we had the equipment of a casual playthrough, and if we had, you know, a +10 weapon and tons of levels, it wouldn't really even notice it. But because we're so underpowered, it really makes a difference to have the summon here. Look at that damage. That was 600. Summon just did 600.
Yeah, he does more than we do per hit.
That was more than you did. Here we're using the triple triangle fable of the Great Sword of Fate, because with the acid on the blade and with acid procced on the boss, it does tons of damage.
A 1 year long combo. This fight is also similar to Lax in that it's very, very random. He has a few attacks, like most of his attacks, they're just kind of one-offs or maybe like 2-hit combos. But he has a few attacks where you just kind of have to run away for like 15 seconds. That one combo that he did.
Spectre put in work though. Here we're going to be entering phase 2 with our Spectre still at half HP. So phase 2 is kind of like phase 1, except with more frame traps, is how I like to put it. More projectiles, more mix-ups, more follow-ups. Phase 2 is very, very tricky.
Very, very easy to die in phase 2 as well. Due to those frame traps and us not having HP to think them.
Yep. Yeah, so here our Spectre is down for the count. We are gonna have to finish the fight on our own now. As you saw there, that was his first attempt at a frame trap. He sent out a shockwave, and at the same time, a AoE was hitting the ground. So things like that, the more that you run this category, the more you start to see situations like that where you're like, wow, there was nothing I could have done there. But yeah, here we're gonna be trying our best to avoid the AoE hand coming down to nuke the center of the arena. Use some throwables at a distance. And here you're seeing on display just how powerful these throwables are. They are quite literally stronger than our weapon. It's kind of crazy to think about. We're out of abrasive, so it's probably smarter to just keep using throwables. But yeah, here we're going to be finishing him off with a fatal. Very nice.
Not too bad second phase. Really, the goal for second phase is to kill him before the second hand comes down from the sky, and we did that, so not bad. And that is pretty much it.
Yep, that is the end of the run. Is not, time is not coming up yet. Time will be coming up once we get to the bottom of the elevator, which we're going to be actually using the instant death item to send ourselves down. We're going to be spawning at the Stargazer that is at the bottom, and time will come up when we finish the conversation with Geppetto, and we're going to give him our heart. So I will let you guys know. We're going to have a quick chat with our dad, and he's gonna take our heart. Time's coming up in 3, 2, 1. Time.
And that was
very nice.
A little bit of a scuffed run.
80%.
I think I died on almost every boss. I'm very out of practice. I haven't been running this recently. Just kind of picked it up to do rest for the marathon. I really love running this game though. It's such a fun run. If anyone has any interest in running this, highly recommend checking it out, joining the Discord. It takes a bit to learn the lineups for the skips and stuff, but it really is such a fun run if you like Souls games.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to Blanks for the commentary. Did really good commentary. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no worries. I think the run went pretty smooth. I would say, like, with the exception of the donkey thing, I think that, you know, dying on Lax, dying on Manus, that's all just normal. This was like, this was a pretty decent showcase run, I would say, with, like, you know,
not too bad.
With the possibilities that can happen. We got pretty bad RNG on the final bosses here, so we did what we could with what we got. So
shoutouts to all the glitch finders in this game, Cookie, Yojo. They put in so much work for this game and really broke it open. I remember like first runs of this game were like an hour and a half or something, like 2 hours, and now we're at 45 minutes. Like, it's just insane, the glitches that have been found in this game. So, shout out to all the glitch hunters, all the tool makers, people that made the trainers, and save position tool, all that stuff really goes a long way into like making the run shorter. And thanks to GDQ for having me on. Oh, also shout out Blanksy, will be running this at AGDQ.
Finally feels
So
like
Hey.
for that.
thank
Yep.
you.
If you guys want to see more, check us both out, I guess. We like this game. We like running this category. So thank you guys. Thank you for having us on as well. It was really fun.
Absolutely. Thank you both for being on, for showcasing the game, giving the commentary. Had a blast for the past hour watching this, so y'all did a great job.
Thank you.
With that said, we do have more runs coming up for you. So like they said, check them out if you enjoyed the runs. Make sure you tune in to AGDQ. But we do have more runs coming up. We've got Super Mario Bros. Wonder coming up next. We're going to take a quick break while we get ready for that, and we'll see you in just a few minutes, everyone.